Bienvenidos and welcome back to Puro Pinche Gol, the place we discuss all things USMNT y la selección mexicana. My name is Adrian. Joining me once again, my co-host Tocayo, Adrian. Adrian was a good player.
Hey, what's up, dude? All right, doing all right. Just waiting for Tigres match against America. Although I'm not looking forward to it because I know it's gonna be it's gonna be a show against Tigres. They're gonna get destroyed, dude. There's no way they can come out of it with a win.
Yeah, if you're watching this, we're recording Saturday, March 9th, right before the Tigres match. America just coming off a 3-0 win on Wednesday against Chivas in the it was the CONCACAF Cup?
Yeah, concacaf Champions Cup. I
Champions
think that
Cup,
was
yeah.
called. Yeah.
And so, yeah, I mean, it's not looking too pretty here before the match with Tigres. So, but we'll see. We'll see how it goes. But, man, we're going to be jumping in here right away to the discussion of today's topic, of today's video. Mexico's goalkeeping situation, man. If you guys have been following us here the last couple of months, or the last month, we've been kind of analyzing Mexico's positions one by one. Started off analyzing the left back situation there with Jesus Gallardo and who's going to come in and take his spot. We kind of discussed the striker situation for Mexico. Now we want to kind of focus in on a goalkeeping situation for Mexico, a position that has been pretty much, just Guillermo Ochoa's for the last 15, 18 years, a position that he hasn't let go of and is still his position, his to lose. We've seen him recently kind of not be too hot there in Italy. Granted, that's a lot of factors, not just him, it's his defense. But he's definitely, question marks around him, right? He's getting up there in age, not performing as he once was. There's a couple keepers that we're going to talk about today that are maybe on the rise or on the come up. Maybe not at the level yet to maybe take it from Guillermo Ochoa completely, but can definitely ask questions. So, Adrian, man, why don't you start us off here? You want to start with Guillermo Ochoa? You want to start with somebody else here? Or just talking about
So
the position in general, man.
yeah, I think this is I was excited when we discussed about covering this specific subject, man, because for the year and some change that we've been doing this, I think we've been like on a swing with Memo Ochoa. Sometimes we praise him, sometimes we realize that he's getting up in there in age, that he might not be the sharpest right now. Maybe he needs to take a step back. But it always has been a very polarizing player for not only for us, but for I think any eltris fan, right? But since we're diving in this specific position, not necessarily on Guillermo Ochoa, I think it's important that we take a little step back and understand how much of a problem this could be for Mexico in the near, midterm, and long term. And just because you mentioned it, I mean, for the last 15 years, Ochoa has been the owner of that position, right? He's been pretty much his to lose, even with that scandal that he got some doping back in like 2011, 20 something. Even that scandal didn't sideline him for for the long. It cost him the move to PSG, but he ended up going to Europe after that. And just to keep things in perspective, I would like us to discuss the five first and foremost, the five most recent goalkeepers since Qatar 2022. So I know that it's only been less than 2 years since the last World Cup, but this will help us to put a good solid basis on what we'll discuss today.
And kind of summarize who Jimmy has called between now and the World Cup, because he has definitely called in some new names, right, to try to maybe plan for the future or for the present here. But yeah, man, kind of go through the list and let us know who have been the most recent goalkeeper since the World Cup that he's called up.
Yeah. So I'm gonna exclude Guillermo Ochoa because we all know that Guillermo Ochoa has been a pretty much a given on every single roster that Jimmy drops, or eltri has dropped for the last however many years. But there's four different names in here, and I had to go back to, I think even maybe one of these names perhaps I had to go back all the way to like 2021 or 2020 to find a name. But we have, for example, the very first one is luisangelmalagon. The most recent match that he played with eltri was against Honduras on that quarterfinal two-leg match where Mexico lost first. He had to sub in Ochoa because of an injury, and then he was man of the match on the second leg. Then we have Pepe Toño Rodriguez, who, all of us ask why he's getting called up. We're not saying he's a bad keeper, but it just, there's way, I think there's other names in the mix that you can actually take, could be useful for them to just be part of the squad. But the last time he played with Mexico was on that Molero in December last year. Mexico lost against Colombia 3-2. The next in line is Carlos Acevedo, who we all thought was actually the heir to Ochoa's throne. But ever since he got that injury, I mean, he hasn't been that hot with Santos. Granted, he plays at Santos, who is a team that gets scored a lot. So he gets to show off his, goalkeeping abilities, but it doesn't, like, a lot of people call him, he is the rightful heir to Memo Ochoa's throne because of how many times he gets scored, not necessarily because of because of his ability as a keeper. But the last two matches that he played, the most recent one I think has to be the either the Intercontinental Clásico that they played against USMNT, which was mainly ligamx players, with a tie 1-1, or the Nations League match against Suriname. I think he played both matches, or at least the second leg of it, where they won 2-0. And Diego Coca was still the coach of Mexico. And lastly, the last one that I could find of that wasn't, Pepe Toño Rodriguez, luisangelmalagon, or Carlos Acevedo, was Alfredo Talavera in a friendly, actually before Qatar. So if you want, we can even take Talavera out, because between Qatar 2022 and today, he hasn't been either called up
Yeah.
or played for Mexico. And even that match, Mexico lost 1-2 against Sweden. So those are the last four goalkeepers, with the exception of Ochoa, that have played for Mexico.
Yeah, I think we could, like you said, take out Talavera. I think his time has come and passed. He was one that was always kind of competing with Ochoa during those years, right between 2008 to 2018. Kind of, he was in there. Him and
You have
there
Rodolfo
was.
Cota.
Yeah, Rodolfo Cota. Yeah, that were always kind of the back two, right? To
Yeah, Jesus Corona.
yeah, Chuy Corona. Yeah, you're right. Those guys are all, pretty much out of it at this point. I think you're right to say that Acevedo. If you go back and watch our earlier videos here on Puro Pinche Gol, we were up on him, man. We were saying that
Mm-hmm.
we were on the train saying that he was going to be maybe the heir to the throne and taking it soon. Um, but yeah, he's just been derailed this season since that injury, and I even think the Pumas goalkeeper, what's his name?
Julio
Yeah, I
Gonzalez, I
think
think.
Julio
Yeah.
Gonzalez is above him at this point. But if we look at the four, excluding Talavera, all Liga MX players, right? All players that just play in Liga MX. None really have gone out to
No.
test themselves. Even Guillermo Ochoa, when he was 35, went back to to Europe to test himself. Um, Goalkeeper is a different situation, is a different position. Yeah, we'd like to see our goalkeepers playing in Europe, but I think Liga MX, for a goalie at least, is fine.
Yeah.
It's not one of the critical positions where you'd like to see your players out there. It's nice, like I said, but it's not critical. But I think from these four players, there's definitely one player that's kind of knocking on the door. Luisangelmalagon, man, what a stellar season he's had so far.
Yeah, with America. And what is interesting to me with these four players that we just mentioned is that they're also part of that 60-man roster that Jimmy dropped recently this month. And it just goes to show that there aren't that many options for Mexico on that specific position. The one that you just mentioned, right? Luis Angel Malagon. Yes, he's having a great season with with America. I mean, if we look at his numbers, he has played 11 matches so far this year with America, all of them playing as a starting goalkeeper. I believe he has how many? Let me see. I got all the information over here. He makes 2.8 saves per match, so that's actually not bad for a goalkeeper. He has only received 6 goals on those 11 matches, all of them inside the box. So there's very little he can do inside the box. 28 different paradas, and out of those 28, 16 within inside the box, 12 outside of the box, and 7, I guess, saves with a deflection, right? So those all of these are solid numbers for a goalkeeper who isn't above the 1 meter and 80, I guess 180 meters in height, dude. He's not super tall, so that goes to show that he has hoops for sure.
Yeah, man, for sure. And while you were saying that, I was kind of doing some looking through our agenda here. We have some research. These four keepers that he called. If you look at them, the youngest is Acevedo, who's 27 years old.
Yes,
So these solutions that are not Guillermo Ochoa, they're all ranging between. If you take out Acevedo, who's the outlier, you have guys ranging from 31 to 33 years old here.
yes.
So even these guys, luisangelmalagon, Julio Gonzalez, they're all kind of just short-term solutions, a short-term fix, a tape.
Here's the situation: is that we got to look at Memo Ochoa's reality, right? Because the near-term solution is we keep on playing Ochoa, or
Yeah,
Luis Angel Malagon steps up the play, right?
yeah.
But we have to be cognizant of Ochoa's reality.
Hmm.
I mean, you sent me a message earlier today on a record he set, which was 1,000 goals
Yeah,
scored on, right? And so I don't really know how that stacks up against other Serie A keepers or in general.
yeah. Keepers
But
in
a
general.
thousand goals is nothing. Receiving 1,000 goals is nothing to celebrate for. If you
Right.
ask me, I mean, we were looking at all of his stats, right? You and I were discussing even before starting recording today. He played 19 matches with Malaga, and out of those 19 matches, he got scored on all
Yeah.
games. Right now, he's played 20 matches with Salernitana. He has received almost 38 plus goals. So, I mean, it's difficult because we understand that he's not playing at a top team, right? He's not
Yep.
necessarily playing at Inter de Milan, Fiorentina, Milan, Juventus. So we understand that there's a handicap on in the sense of he doesn't have like any a realistically good defense. But at the same time, if we claim him to be the best keeper that Mexico has, then I don't know. I would expect less goals getting scored on. I mean, he does have a lot of saves per match. His average of like for I guess for the time for this year, he has had like 70 plus saves. 57 of them are inside the box, so that goes to show that he gets pretty he gets driven by almost every single match, if you ask me. So this is the real picture that we currently have right in front of us. This is Ochoa. So to me, the ages that you just mentioned, right? Julio Gonzalez, all of these guys, Carlos Acevedo, Julio Gonzalez, and Luis Malagon, they're all 27 and up. These are not long-term solutions for Mexico in any way. And as much as we have praised Luis Angel Malagon, I don't really think he is one for the next 10 years, if you ask me. I mean, he's kind of a late bloomer in ligamx. He was kind
Hmm.
of a sleeper in Necaxa. And I think he's getting a lot of the spotlight because there aren't there isn't any other good goalkeeper in Mexico. I mean, we don't longer have, and maybe this is just my age helping me put a bias in front of the players that we see nowadays. But we don't have Osvaldo Sanchez. We don't have Conejo Perez. We don't have freaking even Jesus Corona, Jonathan Orozco. Like I guess
Michel,
between
yeah, all those
I
guys.
guess between 2007 and 20 and 2017, there was like a poker of different
Yeah,
keepers who are on the same level.
right.
And
Hmm.
today you have Malagon, who is maybe at 3 steps ahead of Carlos Acevedo right now, and then Carlos Acevedo and Julio Gonzalez are around the same level.
Yeah.
Um, and it's just dire, dude.
Yeah, man. No, I agree with you. There definitely is that lack of goalkeepers right now to compete for that position. Luis Angel Malagon, I think he could be the short-term solution for the World Cup for 2026, but yeah, definitely not the long-term 10-year plan that Mexico is probably hoping to have here. And earlier to your point, you were mentioning how much Guillermo Ochoa has conceded. To be fair to him, like you said, he hasn't really played at world-stopping teams, right? I mean, if we
Yeah.
look at his history, he was with Malaga, Granada, America. I mean, America, he did well, obviously. Salernitana, and then Ajaccio in France, all teams that you kind of see towards the bottom of the table,
Hmm.
who don't really prioritize much defending. And so, yeah, he gets kind of a pass there. But yeah, I don't know, man. It's not a nice situation to be in for Mexico right now in that goalkeeping situation. But I think there are a couple names that give hope to the future, right?
Totally, and these are. I mean, I have two specific players that I would like to discuss, and I think this is the argument that we make is why would you call up someone like Pepe Toño Rodriguez? Like we don't have anything against him, but bring in someone who's younger so you can start, getting him experience or exposed to what is it like to be part of the of eltri. What's the pressure that you're gonna, have to face on every single match, right? How's the environment where you have the big names showing up from Europe and whatnot? I think this is just a good opportunity for El Jimmylozano to start building that basis on the new generation, right? And the two names that I have in this list, one of them is Fernando Tapia, who plays at Querétaro, and I have Alex Padilla, who is currently the third string keeper at Athletic Club Bilbao. Um, if we start with Fernando Tapia, I believe he's 22 years old. He came into the spotlight last year's Leagues Cup with Querétaro. When we all we all thought that Querétaro was gonna get eliminated in the first round. They made it all the way to I think the
To the
quarterfinals
semifinals, no? Or
yeah,
the quarters,
semifinals or
yeah.
something like that. And
Hmm.
actually, Fernando Tapia was the hero, and I think on two matches, making some saves out of the penalty, out of the PKs. And so I think Fernando Tapia is kind of a sleeper, if you ask me. Yes, he plays for a very small team in Mexico. He plays for a team that aspires to pretty much nothing just to avoid the fine of being the last, on the table. But if we look at his numbers, I mean, for a 22-year-old goalkeeper in Mexico, the amount of time that he's getting, the amount of saves that he makes as well, is actually very interesting. He has played so far 6 matches with Querétaro, all of them are starting. He has received, sorry, he has actually, my bad. He has played 6 matches, all of them starting, and 2 of them he has clean sheets. So not bad for a Querétaro goalkeeper, if you ask me.
Yeah, and one that, like you said, ligamx teams don't usually tend to trust very young keepers like him,
Hmm.
and to be there starting their number one keeper at that age is valuable experience. And to note, he was the third string keeper at America a couple years ago behind
Okay.
luisangelmalagon. So yeah, now I mean, well, like obviously most of us remember him from the League's Cup, from those heroics at the penalties, but definitely one for the future. And then you mentioned Alex Padilla, right? The guy that's playing in
Yes.
Spain.
He's a Mexican Spaniard. It's a very interesting prospect for Mexico. I mean, he's going to have a hard time trying to make a breakthrough with Athletic de Bilbao. But if you look at his numbers playing in the Segunda Federación of Spain, I think that's pretty much where all of the B teams or the academy teams play. He had 21 matches and 15 unbeaten matches on those 21. So not too bad, not too shabby for a 20 year old goalkeeper. I think Lilini and Jimmy have been scouting him, but the thing is that it's a tough. He has a difficult position because he's not. I don't think he's gonna get a chance to be the first string keeper for Athletic Club Bilbao unless they sell their current goalkeeper, which Athletic Bilbao is known for selling, their good players like they did with Arrizabalaga. Uh, but I just think this is a very, specifically talking about Alex Padilla, is a very long shot that may have a lot of rewards, but it will require a significant amount of effort. If we put him in on a balance, I think Mexico is better off focusing on putting Fernando Tapia at a position that he can actually thrive and become a better goalkeeper, and maybe be the next goalkeeper in Liga MX, than trying to find or trying to help Alex Padilla to make a breakthrough or find a different spot in La Liga or somewhere else in Europe.
Yeah, because I mean he's young, he's 20 years old, but by that time, if you're showing a lot of promise, you are
Yeah.
already
Hmm.
starting, right?
Exactly.
Especially in Europe, where there's a lot of teams that are definitely need goalkeepers, and for the future, especially from a club like you said from Bilbao, who invest heavily in youth to sell at a
Hmm.
profit. You would think he'd be starting there, but yeah, no, I agree. If you're going to choose Alex Padilla or uh, Fernando Tapia, you would go with Fernando Tapia, just because he's already playing, right? He's playing competitively.
Yeah.
We've seen what he can do. He's Mexican. I mean, the other guy, obviously, he's Spanish born. His mom's Mexican. He hasn't committed to either nation. Not that I don't
Hmm.
think Spain will come knocking anytime
No,
soon.
they don't need him.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean, probably you'd want to put your eggs in the basket of Fernando Tapia there for the
The, the
future.
the the one small con that I see on Fernando Tape is that he has the most generic name that you can think of. Fernando Tape is like one of those, if you need to come up with a random
Yeah.
name to put to someone, Fernando Tape could be at the top of your randomizer.
It sounds like the name they give you on FIFA if you just choose a Mexican player,
Yeah.
right? Oh,
Yes.
and there's a couple of Fernando Tapia commentators as well, I believe.
Yes. That's
But
funny.
yeah, no, that's funny. Uh, but yeah, man. I mean, is this a situation as if you look at the situation that Mexico's facing with their left back, where do you
Mhm.
prioritize here? Which one do you think is more
Oof.
important for Mexico to find a solution to in the short term?
Short term, I think short term left back position for sure. Luisangelmalagon, if he stays at America and plays at a decent level, he is your near term solution for Copa America, World Cup, and maybe a couple of years beyond that. In the left back position, you are running out of. I understand that you don't have a lot of prospects in the goalie for the long run, but there is a bigger pool of left back talent that you can rely on in the next 10 years than what it is in the goalie situation. So I think Mexico has to get their stuff straight short term right now with the left back situation, and then focus on the long term goal for
Developing
uh
a goalkeeper.
yeah, for developing a goalkeeper.
Okay. Cool, man. No, yeah, definitely an interesting topic. And if you guys like these types where we kind of break down position by position for the that national teams, USA or Mexico, we'll be covering more going forward. So be sure to let us know in the comments if you enjoy this content. Adrian, man, as we wrap up this episode, dude, where can listeners find us?
They can also find us on YouTube. Don't forget to subscribe, hit the like button, and turn on the notifications. You can also find us on Apple Podcast, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcast on. Last but not least, you can also find us on Instagram. We post stuff every now and then.
Yeah, make sure to follow us and let us know below in the comments. Who do you think is the best solution for Mexico in the goalkeeper position? Do you think Mexico sticks it out with Guillermoochoa here for the World Cup in 2026, or is it kind of his time to move out of the spotlight and probably let Malagon in or somebody else to come in and take the spot? And who do you think for the long term is the solution? Definitely interested in listening to you guys down there, seeing what you guys have to say. Adrian, man, let's go watch the Tigres match, and I'll see you in the next one, brother.
Take it easy, my guy.
See ya.
Loose.